Okay, let's just jump right in. For decades, the idea of going to space was a dream, something reserved for a handful of astronauts chosen by governments. But that whole game is changing, and it's changing fast. We are looking at 2026 as the year this dream stops being a dream and becomes a commercial reality, a vacation you can actually book, assuming you've got some serious cash.
And that quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures this massive, historic shift we're all watching unfold. The old space race between superpowers, that's history. We're in a completely new era now, and it's being driven by private ambition and, frankly, immense private wealth.
Exactly. This isn't some far-off prediction anymore. It's not science fiction. We're talking about the ground floor of what's going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry, and the foundation for it is being laid right now as we speak.
Which, brings us to our first major point. Who is this really for? At this moment, space has basically gone from being the final frontier of exploration to being the ultimate status symbol. It's the new, most exclusive country club in the universe. So, if you're hypothetically in the market for a ticket, there is a fundamental difference you absolutely have to understand. Not all trips to space are the same. In fact, you're looking at two completely different products, and it all boils down to one simple question. Are you going up or are you going around?
Let's start with suborbital. The physics here are actually pretty simple to grasp. Think of it like this. You throw a baseball straight up in the air as hard as you possibly can. It goes really, really high, it kind of hangs there for a second at the top, and then it falls straight back down. That is a suborbital flight. It's a massive arc up to the edge of space and right back down.
Right. And an orbital flight? Let's use that same baseball. Now imagine you could throw it so incredibly fast, we're talking over 17,000 miles per hour, that as it starts to fall back down, it's moving so fast sideways that it constantly misses the Earth. That's orbit. It's a state of continuous freefall around our planet. And this is where you really see how different the experience is. We're talking about a few minutes of floating around in suborbital versus multiple days of living in space on an orbital flight. Honestly, it's the difference between riding the world's most intense roller coaster and actually moving to another country for a week. They are totally different products.
Okay, so let's dig into that suborbital market first, because that's where most of the action is right now. This is that quick, thrilling flight to the edge of the world that's becoming, well, I wouldn't say affordable, but definitely more accessible.
And in this suborbital ring, you've basically got two heavyweights going head-to-head. First, you've got Virgin Galactic. They're about to roll out their new Delta-class spaceplane for 2026, but look at the price. They've jacked it up to $600,000. Then you have Blue Origin. Now, they're a bit more secretive with pricing, but industry buzz suggests their seats are actually trending down, somewhere in that $200,000 to $300,000 range. Totally different approaches, totally different price points.
But wait, a rocket isn't your only choice. There's a third, really interesting player entering the scene, and they have a completely different philosophy. It's less about the raw power and G-forces, and a lot more about a gentle, luxurious journey to the top.
And here it is. For $125,000, Space Perspective offers a ride on their spaceship Neptune. What is it? Well, it's basically a beautiful, pressurized capsule. It's got a bar, a bathroom, Wi-Fi, and it's lifted gently over several hours by a gigantic stratospheric balloon. You don't get the weightlessness, but you get that same life-changing view for a fraction of what a rocket costs. It's really the budget luxury option here. Okay, now, let's just make a huge leap. Forget just touching the edge of space for a few minutes. What if you want to actually live there for a week? Let's talk about the orbital market, what we're calling the true astronaut experience.
And that leap is, well, it's staggering. A multi-day trip to the International Space Station, put together by companies like Axiom Space, using SpaceX's rockets and capsules, is going to set you back upwards of $60 million per person. This isn't just for the rich. This is for a tiny handful of the absolute wealthiest people on Earth.
And this chart just puts it all into brutal, undeniable perspective. Just look at that. The bars for the balloon ride and even the suborbital flights, you can barely see them next to the absolute skyscraper that represents a ticket to orbit. It really shows you the incredible financial canyon between just seeing space and actually living there. So all of this just raises this huge question, right? Are we watching the birth of a brand new type of travel that will one day be open to more people? Or are we just watching the creation of the most exclusive VIP lounge in human history?
But there is a glimmer of hope. There's one technology that could change this whole equation, and it all comes down to a single concept: reusability. The push to create fully reusable rockets is the single biggest thing that could drive these insane prices down. For 60 years, we literally threw away our rockets after one launch. Imagine throwing away a jumbo jet after every single flight. By reusing the most expensive parts, the goal is to make launch costs plummet over time.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question for the next decade. The technology is here, and it's getting better every day, but will it really bring the prices down to earth? Will a trip to orbit one day cost the same as a luxury car? Or are the challenges and costs so immense that space will just remain what it is today, the most exclusive and most expensive country club in the entire universe?